Welcome to Passive Aggressive Income. This program may contain strong language. The content may not be suitable for audiences under the age of 17. We understand many of our listeners may not agree with all of our personal viewpoints. We in no way, shape, or form mean to be offensive to anyone. Our show notes will provide all of our source material included for each episode. Now let's get passive aggressive. Welcome back to another episode of Passive Aggressive Income. Today, Lexi has a really fun topic that she wants to dive into. It's about finding clients. Yay!
Yay. You sound so enthusiastic.
Oh no, I am. I'm sorry. No, I
I'm
am,
just
and I'm sure
kidding.
that our listeners are going to be really excited to hear this from you. So I'm going to hand it over to you and just let you dive into it.
Yeah, so if you have any kind of business, whether you're selling a product or service, it's only going to work if you have people willing to pay for what you have to offer. So for the past 4 years, I run a business called Star Media, doing social media management and marketing. And in this week's episode, I'm going to share some of my best tips for how I've figured out how to find clients over the years. The first thing would be word of mouth. You could be the best in what you do, and you can try and portray that to a prospective client, but it's really not going to be as impactful as if they heard someone else saying nice things about you. And I think that's why word of mouth is so powerful because especially if you're a complete stranger and you're like going up to this, other business and trying to get them to like take you seriously, if they've never heard of you before and they don't have people who have said like good things about your business, then there's not really that trust built up yet. So my biggest tips would be get involved in your community, go to various events, make relationships with local business owners in your area, and just be genuine.
Hmm.
So this isn't only just like a business opportunity, but you could actually end up meeting people who could become close friends.
Yeah, and I like that you added that it should be genuine because if people think that you're just using them to, you know, push yourself more out there, then I mean, people can read other people. So make
Yeah.
sure that it's not just a benefit to you, that you're also bringing something to the table and you're also just being a real, person and friend. So,
Yeah, exactly. It's Yeah, if you're not being genuine, like people are going to see right through it.
hmm.
So, as of where I'm at in life right now, I'm not currently growing Star Media. I'm kind of in a career change right now. But when I was actively growing Star Media, I got probably like 85% of all the clients that I had, either through word of mouth or because I was able to name drop someone they knew, and that sort of automatically got me a foot in the door.
Wow. Yep, that's awesome.
So kind of along the lines of what we just discussed, but another tip is just to make a personal connection, and I can't stress this enough. So I've sent out probably like hundreds, many hundreds of cold messages to prospective clients, and I've tried all sorts of strategies. And I've figured out what works and what doesn't work, but I'll share. I've gotten the best response when I've crafted a message that has a couple of components. So, number one would be showing an interest in what they do and also have some sort of like personal anecdote that proves you can relate to their business. And then number two would be providing enough background to prove that you've actually done your research into their business. So you're not just like, hey, you're an ice cream shop. I like ice cream. Like, that's not really enough. Like, what sets them apart? And mention that and show that, like, you've done some digging into their website or their social media and find something a little bit deeper that you can relate to that proves to them that, like, you're actually putting in the time because you are interested and they're not just another number that you're trying to reach out to.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really good tip right there. Because if you say, "Yeah, I love ice cream," but then you instead of that you say, I've noticed that this is a family operated ice cream shop and even your grandchildren work there sometimes and I think that's adorable or something like that, that's gonna warm their heart. So
Yeah. So yeah, making that like personal connection and yeah, that's super important. So another component that I found to be successful that I include in my cold messages would be just giving like an extremely brief overview of who you are or what you do. So like think one sentence. Remember that you are not selling right now. You're making it about them, showing an interest in them, wanting to learn more about them, and you're not telling too much about yourself, just enough to be like, hey, my name is Lexi Starr. I own Star Media. I'm a social media marketing and management company based out of St. Paul. That's it. That's
Okay.
all. So nothing more, nothing like, oh, and I do this and this because like they don't give a fuck yet. They don't know who you
Mm,
are. They don't
mm-hmm,
care.
mm-hmm.
So keep it brief.
Okay.
And then leave your contact info with some sort of call to action to talk. So, again, you're not selling your services in this first introduction. You're just trying to establish a point of contact. And so, call to action would be like, here's my number. Feel free to give me a call or reply to this email. I'd love to learn more about you, or like let's talk about, whatever. And then my last component that I want to just give like a sort of a disclaimer is make sure that your email isn't so long that no one wants to read it, that it's just like going on and on because like who is this person sending me a novel? Like I'm not going to read
Right.
all that. But
Yeah.
also not so short that it seems like you don't care, like one or two sentences. Like I've gotten cold emails like that. And for me, that reads, oh, they're sending this generic message to like hundreds of other people. So I'm not going to reply.
Got it.
And then also know that when you are reaching out to a prospective client, they may not answer the very first time you reach out to them. So do follow up a couple of times. If you don't hear back right away, give them a few days to, like check their email and then before you just like bombard them with another message. But it does show that you're genuinely interested and that their response is important to you. And I would say, in my experience, over 50% of the time, I would receive a response after a follow-up compared to
Hmm.
just like sending a message and like not receiving anything back and not ever following up.
What is your stance on, do you only do email or do you also message like on Instagram and like on Facebook, or is that not appropriate?
I've tried both. I would say that email reads is like a bit more professional, but I've also reached out to small businesses through like Facebook Messenger or Instagram, wherever they're like kind of active. And if I
Hmm.
can't find a like a specific email to contact them through, then if it's someone that I really want to work with, then I will send them a message over Facebook or Instagram. But for me, I find that email like not only looks more professional, but it's just easier for me to organize because if I'm looking through all the people that I reached out, it's in one place. So
Mm.
not like scattering those. And I also wouldn't reach out to like a business owner's personal like Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to reach out to them over social media, make sure it's their business page. Otherwise, that's kind of inappropriate because like,
Mhm.
privacy, like they're living their own lives. Let them be people on their own social media and let them be a business on their business social media.
Yes.
And then yeah, also like calling. I have kind of like mixed feelings about cold calls. I didn't do a whole lot of them because I guess number one, social anxiety, and number two, I don't like someone just calling me and like
Hmm.
demanding my time when like I don't know these people, like I'm in the middle of something. Honestly, if I don't know what the number is, I'm probably not going to pick up.
Yeah.
So I don't really like cold calls. I find that with an email, I can portray the things that I want to portray a little bit more eloquently. And then once I've established that point of contact, then I will, say like, hey, let's get on the phone and let's talk. Because then they're already expressing some interest, whereas I'm not bothering them out of the blue.
Yeah. I feel like cold calling back when, our parents were in business, in that time, it was probably more acceptable and
Mhm.
more like it got attracted new clients and generated business.
Right.
Now that we have the internet, I think that it kind of replaced the cold calling and made it the the new form of the cold calling because not everybody wants to, like you said, be bogged down by a salesperson on the phone. Like as soon as I hear somebody trying to pitch me, I just hang up right away.
Yeah,
So it's like
exactly.
I totally get that.
And it's not fun to be on either end of those calls, you know?
No, no.
So, but if do end up getting someone who wants to get on the phone with you, then always open the call with some sort of like brief conversation before jumping straight into
Mm,
business. So this will help build that relationship, build the personal connection we're talking about, and make them see you as a fellow human being and not
hmm
just a business who's trying to, sell them things, whatever services or product you have. Um, and then just use like conversational cues. So if you can tell that they're like not into small talk and they're like let's just get it over with already, then just move on. Don't try and like force that relationship. Just like move on to business.
Yeah, and I think this is where you as a person in the conversation comes into play because you can feel things out. You don't have to
Mhm.
stick to like a strict script.
Right.
It doesn't have to be line for line. You could be like, okay, they're not feeling this. Let me just get right to the meat and potatoes. Or on the other hand, they are really friendly and then they have a lot to say and they have a lot of time. So then they want to get into things. And then after that, you can get into whatever you're trying to pitch. So
Yeah, exactly. And that's also where you doing your research into the business and the people who own it, like digging in a little bit deeper ahead of time. That way you have like things to talk about. You're not just
mm,
like a stranger who's calling who knows nothing about these people. You can have something that you both can relate to. So that's
yeah.
really important. So my next tip for trying to get new clients would be offering some sort of free sample. It's pretty obvious if you have like a physical product and you have
hmm
something small that you can give that kind of shows your craftsmanship or whatever. But it might be a little bit more difficult if you are trying to sell some sort of service.
hmm
So, using the example of my business, Star Media, I found one of my very first clients, also with the help of my husband, Alex, who is my business partner, by pitching a really fun holiday video for free. And then
Mm.
after we did the video and they got to work with us, and it was just a really like great all around experience. We delivered a product that they really liked. They then signed up for social media marketing services on a monthly basis for the next couple of years. So, although that initial video was kind of time consuming, and if we had charged them for it, it would have been a lot, it ended up paying off like many, many times over.
That's awesome.
For this example, I lived in an apartment and next door was a glass blowing shop. And it was actually Alex's idea. So it was around Christmas time. And we're like, how cool would it be if we did some sort of video for them where like the glass shop is Santa's workshop? So we have them like dressed up in elves while they're blowing
Oh,
glass and making ornaments and all sorts of cool shit. And that's like Santa's workshop, and they can say that like Santa's elves made all of these like cool vases and stuff. So like this is a good place to find gifts for Christmas. And they loved the
oh,
idea.
yeah, that is so cute. I love that.
Yeah, it was really successful. And yeah, from then on, then they became a client that I worked with for a couple of years, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So I have implemented this strategy to find other clients, but in kind of a less extreme way because doing a whole video for someone is it's a lot, and you can't do that for everybody.
Right.
So what I started doing was offering a 1 hour branding shoot for free.
Mm.
And like I said, I got to be face to face with the prospective client for a full hour, talking with them, showing off my professional photography skills, being confident, and then it allowed me to like continue the conversation, and I wowed them with deliverables. I tried to make sure to give them deliverables the very same day to prove like how like I have a quick turnaround and I'm like dedicated to, providing a good service. I want to warn with this strategy that you can be taken advantage of. So if you are putting like a lot of time and effort into offering a free sample, just make sure that the people that you're offering that to are receptive and are interested in actually pursuing something afterwards. because I did
Mm,
end up wasting some time giving free work to people who weren't really interested in pursuing anything further and just took the photos and said, thank you very much. And that was that. So
mm-hmm,
kind of just like read the room before going out of your way. But I also did this strategy very, very early on in starting my
mm,
company. So it was just a good way for me to build my portfolio with like a whole variety of different industries. So I could, if I was trying to reach out to a bakery and I had taken photos of a small bakery who ended up not signing on with me, but I could prove like, hey, I've done this. Like, look how good it turned
mm.
out.
Yeah, I love that positive flipping of the situation. So yeah, that's a really good point. And like you said, it's practice. Everybody needs practice when you're selling something and servicing and all that. But maybe think about if you are going to do like a free like service just to get somebody's business, not overdoing it.
Mhm.
So like offering them 50 free photos,
Right.
like be like, I can give you 3 free photos. Don't go
Mhm.
like crazy with it because then like Lexi said, you gave them all of this free stuff and then they may not sign up with you. And that's a lot of your work, which is good practice, but it just kind of it didn't need to be that big.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm. So the next thing that I will say is good to find clients, and we've touched on this a bit already in another episode, is social media. So
Mhm.
stay consistent with posting quality content on social media. This is especially beneficial if you have a physical product to sell. Services are a bit more challenging, but you should still be active on all of the major platforms. But if you have like a physical product, and especially if it's something like creative where you can show the process, that does really, really well. Just, yeah, having like a good online presence is important. And we've dedicated an entire episode to social media strategy. So we'll just leave it at this for now and go check out that episode.
Right. Yeah. I've on my jewelry account on Instagram, a lot of the views that I get on my videos are the ones where I'm doing the whole process.
Mhm.
Just because I even like watching people do the whole process on things I'm not even interested in. Like
Yeah,
I,
it's
I
just
will
fascinating.
it is, and I'm like, oh, that's really good. It makes me feel like I can do it, even though I
Right.
know I'm never gonna do it. So I I as a person understand, and for me trying to sell something, it's fun. I get to edit everything and put myself out there and show like it's not just a quick thing that I do
Mhm.
in 10 minutes. This is a like a 2-day process, and I have a whole thing that I have to do, and then I show the end result. So that's a really good tip there.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, one thing that I also want to mention with social media. So I know I said products are easier to sell on social media, which I definitely do think that is the case. But if you are able to sell some sort of product or service directly to an individual person, or like any given individual person, that's going to do better than like trying to sell to other businesses, because social media is kind of set up for like business to individual versus business to business. So just something to keep in mind. I think it's important to have a good social media strategy no matter what you're doing, because it just makes you look more professional and it's another place that people can find you.
Mm.
But yeah, that's just sort of my tip with that.
Yeah, and I think that like if you look at their social media and you can see, oh, they post every day and they do all of that, and your service is managing the social media, maybe it's like not your target audience, but you see somebody else that's like struggling, doesn't have maybe only had like 2 posts on
Right.
something, and it's not very like good, it's not very appealing, then you could be like, hey, I noticed that you only have 2 posts and you've been on here for a year. These are the services I offer, and show them things that you've done that are similar, and that's your
Mhm.
foot in the door.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a strategy that I worked with like pretty much 100% of the time. I wouldn't even reach out to a business doing social media management if they had like awesome posts every single day and it looks super professional. I'm like, well, they've got it covered. Let's move on. So it's just a
Yeah.
good place to, a good starting point to like look into. their Instagram or their Facebook or whatever and see where they're at.
Right.
So another tip for finding clients would be only to work with people you genuinely like. This might sound kind of obvious, but when you are starting a business, it can be kind of hard when you're just trying to like take on any client that'll give you the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as long-term success and your happiness, you really should only be working with people that you can like, or businesses that like align with your values or people that you can actually get along with. Probably less important if you're selling products, but in my case, I was working one-on-one with my clients every single month. And so, yeah, like I said, at a minimum, share the same moral values. Best case scenario, you'll have tons in common and can talk about all sorts of stuff besides business. So I have an example that just like hits this point home really well. So there's a vegan travel agency that offers tours to all sorts of different places around the world. And being vegan myself and someone who loves to travel, I saw that this business is a thing, and I'm like, I need to reach out to this person.
Yep.
And she's like an older, kind of like closer to retirement age person who runs this business. And, for me, someone in my like late 20s might be hard to like relate to, someone who's that much older than me. But I did my research and we ended up working together. And when I would get on calls with her monthly, we would probably spend 20 minutes just talking about like places we've traveled to and awesome vegan
Oh,
restaurants. And like we just became friends
yeah.
because we had so much in common. And that's like best case scenario. If you can find people that you relate to, even if you think it's like kind of like non-traditional, like not someone I would like just become friends with in my regular life, those are like
Yeah.
the best types of business relationships that you can form.
Yeah, just having an open mind and not being like, well, I'm 20 and she's 60, that will
Right.
not work. Or, like it's just if you have that type of mindset, then you're not gonna expose yourself to all the different opportunities out there.
Yeah, exactly. And so, keep an open mind, but also like stick with your values. And like if you know that are not going to get along with someone who has posted like political things that you don't
Mm,
agree with, and like maybe that's not the best business to reach out to because it's just something's going to feel off.
yeah.
And also, if you know right off the bat that you can't actually provide them real value, then like don't go forward with it. Even if you think you can make money off of them, it's not going to work. It's not going to look good. It's not going to feel good. Just
Hmm.
move on.
Yeah.
And it sounds kind of bad saying this out loud, but because it's true and we're brutally honest on this podcast,
Yep.
making friends with your clients is going to make it harder for them to fire you. So that's
Ooh.
another reason why you should build those personal connections.
Yeah, I mean I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I want to trust and be able to um know that I like the person that is managing things for me,
Mhm.
and or like in my life. So if I have like just people that do certain things in my life. Yeah, I'm just gonna say like my accountant. I've been with my accountant for I want to say like 4 years, and I don't plan on switching because she makes everything easy on me. She takes the time to really know like what everything that I want done, and you don't trade that for something else unless it's like a better situation, but then you already established like this type of relationship. So I totally
Mhm.
get what you're saying. I don't think it's bad at all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That makes me feel better because I mean, it kind of sounds like, I don't know, maybe you're trying to like pull one over on someone and just like, I don't know, like toy with their emotions, but it's really not because you're creating genuine friendships. And like I loved working with my clients and I still work with a few of them. It's definitely been reduced since I'm back in school, but it's people that like I would enjoy talking with on a monthly basis, and that's why it worked.
Yeah, I think that circles back to the first thing that we were talking about being genuine.
Hmm.
Because if you're just being fake throughout this, I'm definitely gonna not have a hard time firing you because
Yeah.
then it's like, I mean, she just does what I ask of her and it's just like not anything more than that, and I don't feel
Mhm.
like a personal connection with her. So, I mean, sell yourself and sell your business too, and you're gonna it's a double whammy in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. So my last tip here for finding clients is once you have a foot in the door, listen to what they have to say. So, like we mentioned earlier, don't be selling yourself right out of the gate. People like to talk about themselves, so get some info from them about their background, their goals, their needs, and just let them talk, absorb it. And then this is your opportunity to get to know them further, to get to know them better and further build the relationship and tailor your services to fit their needs because you don't know what they want until you've given them a chance to talk about it. And then you can figure out how you can help them.
Yeah, I love that. I think when you're selling in the business of selling things, services or a product, you have to focus in on the consumer as well.
Hmm.
And we are, everybody is interested in talking about themselves. So that is a really good point. You just let them talk, and what you should be doing in that moment is just taking it all in because those are little nuggets for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, to wrap up this episode, I'll just reiterate some of the most important things I've learned to successfully get new clients. So, become a part of your community. So, good things are spread about your business through word of mouth. And that's also a good opportunity for you to, see what kind of businesses are out there if you're not familiar with what's going on around you. Don't be afraid to name drop, make a personal connection and develop a genuine, friendly relationship with your clients or prospective clients. Also, go to like networking groups and events to find different clients and introduce yourself face to face. Follow up a few times if you don't receive a response right away. Stay consistent on social media. Offer some free work when it makes sense to. Only reach out to the kind of people you actually want to work with and can provide value to. And don't make it all about you. Take an interest in their needs first.
Well, I love all of what you brought to the table today, and I'm sure our listeners are going to love it too. I think it's very some things were common, knowledge, just things that you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But other things it's just like, wow, I didn't even think of it that way. So I really appreciate you taking the time to get this together and present it to our listeners because I learned a lot. I'm always learning from you.
Yeah, I'm happy to provide. I've learned a lot over the past couple of years of just kind of starting a business a little bit out of the blue and just kind of trial and error, trying to figure it out along the way. So I'm happy to share the things that I've learned that have made me successful.
Absolutely. And then we get the benefits from it.
Yeah, hopefully I try.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this episode awesomely, as you always do. And make sure that you tune in next week. We have a special guest that we
Yeah.
am very excited about,
Hmm.
very personal to me. So you're going to want to tune in and just have fun with us because that's what we
Yeah,
do.
we do. Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week for a super fun interview.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye. Passive Aggressive Income was written, recorded, edited, and produced by co-hosts and creators Mims and Lexi. We truly want to thank our listeners, collaborators, friends, and family that continuously support us for all the love we receive. If you enjoy our show, please give us a glowing rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see what we are up to. For any inquiries, please email passiveaggressiveincome2023@gmail.com. Episodes of Passive Aggressive Income are available wherever you listen to podcasts, so make sure to subscribe and like us on your favorite streaming platform.